I'm in charge of this class. I'm the warrior chief. I'm the merciless god of anything that stirs in my universe. You f with me, and you will suffer my wrath. ¿Entienden ustedes? ¿Estoy claro?
Yeah.
Can I go to the nurse's office?
So, Drew, do you think you can teach kids at gunpoint?
I guess if you put it in their face.
I mean, like, is that effective? Will they retain the knowledge?
I mean, corporal punishment is illegal now, but
It's not court. You don't have to pull the trigger.
yeah, he didn't shoot him. He just threatened to shoot him.
Well, I mean, he didn't pull a gun. Listen, he didn't pull a gun out, but like, I wonder if that's like an effective like learning tool. Like, they should test this. Like, if you pull a gun on someone, can you force someone to learn history? You know?
I mean, it depends. It's like Russian roulette, I guess, right? If they know that the threat is real, maybe they would.
Pass this test or kill you. You know, will it work? You know, will they retain the knowledge?
If anyone could do it, Nathan Shale could.
Nathan Shale.
Is that his name, Nathan?
The substitute. Who cares?
Whatever. Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith.
Welcome to the Last Row Podcast. This is episode 59. 59 episodes, by the way.
Jonathan Shale.
Nathan Shale. Who's Nathan Shale?
Nathan Shale.
That sounds like a basketball player or something. Episode 59, if you're looking for our website, thelastrowpodcast.com. We are on Twitter at thelastrowpod, facebook.com/thelastrowpod, Google+. Head out to Apple Podcasts, Badway.
What?
Rebrand Apple Podcasts. Leave us an iTunes review. We got a new review at the end of the episode. We'll hit it up and read it. Thank you, everybody that's left one so far. What's going on, Badway? It's good to be back. Couple weeks off. Here we are.
Yeah, we did. You know, we got a substitute.
We kept our promise here.
We don't have a substitute podcast. So it's like we're doing the substitute. 1996 thriller / drama. What's it? Is it a thriller or a drama? It's more thriller.
I think it's a thriller.
It's a thriller.
It's actually action
thriller. It's
not drama. It's not really a drama. The relationship, I guess, between the lady and the guy was pretty dramatic, but
directed by Robert Mandel, Howie's younger brother. 5.9 out of 10. RT 41%.
Rotten Tomatoes.
It's a pretty decent rating if we're doing the Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Inner City, Miami school teacher Jane Hetzko. Mrs. Hetzko gets her knee broken. Gets her knee. She got her knee broken when she stands up to the school's gang leader, Juan Lacus.
Great name.
It's a great name, Juan Lacus.
It's a great name.
Her boyfriend, mercenary combat specialist Jonathan Shale, not Nathan.
It was there and I said it wrong.
Goes undercover as a substitute teacher to take down the punk, but soon discovers that Lacus is merely an underling for the real criminal mastermind.
He's more than a punk. He's like the boss of the punks.
We'll talk about that. Assembling the team from his last jungle raid, led by his right-hand man, Joey Six, Shale declares war.
Nathan Shale.
Rated R, substitute.
Joey Six, a.k.a.
Tuco.
Heisenberg.
Heisenberg!
So I have two observations about this synopsis and just the movie in general, right, that I think I would like to call to your attention.
All right.
So we did a movie, I think it was, I don't even remember what episode number it was. It was Face Off. Go to thelastrowpodcast.com, look it up, Face Off. That movie came out in 1997.
Yeah.
This movie feels like it came out in 1976 compared to 1996. Like, this movie feels so dated to me, and not in a bad way. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. I'm just saying I felt like I was in 1986 compared to Face Off, which was 1 year after. And a lot of the Seagal movies that we've done are also kind of around this time. This felt more in the Seagal era than, I think maybe a year later, it felt like the future.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt about it, but it really threw me off. Like, I didn't realize this was 96.
Well, when you compare it to the Face Off, I think you got to take into consideration John Woo.
That's true.
John Woo is like
futuristic,
but he's also like very like, you can tell it's the 90s,
Yeah.
The mid to late 90s. Like, John Woo is very much a product of his, of whatever year it is, if that makes sense. It's late. I can't think of
do
what
we
I'm
know
about.
what else Robert Mandel has done? Because I feel like maybe it's been other stuff, I guess, but I feel
I'm gonna harbor a guess and say nothing much.
The Substitute 2 starring Treat Williams and The Substitute 3 and 4 They have some great colons in the series, by the way. Like the ones like Schools Out.
Schools Out.
Substitute 2, Schools Out. There's a lot of really, really good colons that we obviously appreciate on this show. The second thing that I would like to call to your attention about this is I feel like they're kind of not really giving William Forsythe much credit in this. Joey Six, Tuco, is definitely his right-hand man, but he had a team of guys. And I think Juan Lacus is a little bit more than a punk. Like, he's definitely the head of the KOD, as we'll get into, but I feel like this synopsis didn't do him enough justice for his level, you know?
In a grand scheme of things, I guess he is sort of a punk, but I don't know. When we dive deeper into him, we'll talk about it. Joey Six is a great name.
It's a great name.
We were talking before we hit record, like, what does that even mean, Joey Six? But I figured it out. It means he's got your back.
Yeah.
He's got your six.
He's always got your
So if
six.
we're talking about military terms.
He had like that sweet like samurai like bun. Did you notice?
Oh, yeah, he's got the bun.
It was like, I think the kid from Home Improvement had that for a little while. What's that kid's name?
I don't know
The
which
older
it is.
one?
Whatever.
Not
Brad.
JTT, Brad.
The
Yeah,
one that's
that
in
looks like a
Tokyo
jerk.
Drift. The
Yes.
one that's in Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, he's in Tokyo. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Kind of a jerk. He's the bully in that
He's
movie.
the bully in that.
And speaking of Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, I got to tell you, man, this movie, when we said we were doing it, I was kind of excited because I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
When was the last time you watched this?
Oh, it's probably 10, 15 years.
Because I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
And whenever I saw it, it was on TV, so it was obviously edited.
Yeah.
And I never caught it from the beginning.
It's a TNT movie.
It's the type
like
of movie.
the movie they'd show on TNT.
And you catch it when he's already in the school.
Like, you know that some movies are like USA movies, some movies are FX movies. Like, this is a TNT movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if people have been following the show for a little while, I think a couple years ago, AMC, the theater chain, tweeted out something like it was National Teacher Appreciation Day.
Yeah.
And I remember we tweeted at them like, "Who's your favorite teacher, movie teacher?" And we tweeted, Shale, and like it blew up. It was really funny. But I want to talk a little bit about Shale as a character and his team. You mentioned Joey Six. The movie opens up with this raid in, I think was it Cuba?
Yeah, let's call it Cuba. Sure.
Somewhere in the South.
It's a jungle of sorts.
It was a jungle raid. I think it was a failed raid, right? So they didn't do well. Something happened where the thing gets botched and their identities need to be scrubbed.
Yeah.
These guys were obviously a highly efficient team. I know the job didn't go according to plan, but if you're the U.S. government, it's like the A-team, I guess. There's a lot of allegories to the A-team in this. I just felt like they were wasting their talents by just erasing their identities and saying you're out of a job now.
But
they should have done some detective work here. Get the computer guy on it.
Were they the A team though?
I guess.
Or
I
were
mean,
they like the Z team
Z-
or like a G team?
they were the GT.
You know?
So you
Because-
don't think they're good?
What if it's like a situation where like Shale, aka Tom Berenger, is like, I don't know, he's like LeBron James and he's got a bunch of scrubs like it's
Yeah.
the Cavs in
Delonte
2009, where it's like he's just dragging along this team.
Yeah.
You got Tuco, who's just the wild card.
He was pretty good.
He's all right. He's like the second best, but he's all about the money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Clearly, he's all about getting paid. You got
William Forsythe too.
yeah,
Same
you got
thing.
Luis Guzman, who's like does nothing except
not-
wear goggles.
I'm not believing that he has any part in taking down
Yeah.
any terrorist or anything.
The team has one pair of night vision goggles, and he's the guy that wears the goggles.
He's
Yeah.
drinking Rasta Monster up there.
Yeah. You got Forsythe, who's what is he like? He's like the Gary Busey wannabe.
When we watched this
Yeah.
movie, what did you say to me? They got William Forsythe because Gary
Yeah,
Busey
Gary
was already
turned
doing
it down.
another
He must-
job.
yeah, it was the biggest mistake of Busey's career, right? He was too busy doing Black Sheep or something. I don't know.
It's true. You get
Yeah.
Forsythe when you can't get Busey.
Yeah. And
So-
he was playing Busey. I feel like it was written for Busey anyway.
He was wearing like graphic T-shirts that you get at East Meets West at the mall. Like he was wearing the Three Wolf Moon shirt
Yeah.
with
Oh, yeah.
jeans.
He's
The
wearing
other guys
like
were
a faux Guns N' Roses shirt or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
but the other guys were dressed to you
Yeah.
know the job. They were wearing military gear. They looked like they actually knew what they were doing. He
Yeah.
had just gun holsters on his arms, and he was just a wild card.
And the last guy, like I don't even remember his name. He was just like this random guy who seemed like a reliable dude, but he didn't really do much.
The guy that got in the school when
Yeah.
he thought he got away.
But I don't think they were that good, Drew. I really don't.
I mean, I feel like as a team, we didn't really see too much. We just saw a failed job, and then we saw them. Actually, they didn't really do a good job at the school in the shootout in the end either.
3/5 of them died
Yeah.
in the school.
Yeah, and Behringer didn't seem that upset, did he either?
No.
Like for a second he did.
No, he was kind of like, job well done.
we'll get into the raid at the end, but I mean, I guess they wind up and they're looking for a job, and this is the setup for the movie. You've got Tom Berenger and his crew. He has some interview with some guy trying to push, I don't know if it was heroin or cocaine. It was drugs through Miami in the port. And Berenger says, I don't do drugs. Joey Six, what'd you set me up with this thing for? This is a joke. You know I don't do this.
Yeah, Joey's all about the money. He doesn't care about the job.
He didn't care. And
Yeah.
they met in a strip club, which is, you have to meet
And-
in the strip club. It's a rated R movie.
So and I thought it was something very interesting. There's a line where he's threatening this guy, this drug dealer, or whoever he may be. And
The guy who craps his pants.
the guy who craps his pants, he makes him crap his pants. And because Tom Berenger's just badass like that. So he tells the guy, oh, what's the difference between a mercenary and a killer? Same thing, right? And Tom Berenger goes, he has him by the throat, and he goes, I'm a mercenary because you're still alive.
Yeah. He
So,
wasn't paid to do it.
I thought it was a pretty funny comment considering that like he and his team like pretty much kill every single person that they come across
Yeah, they
in this
do.
entire movie.
They do.
They pretty much murder every opponent or every drug dealer, every henchman.
Yeah.
And they wipe out the KOD when it's all said and done. Johnny Glades and his crew.
Johnny Glades.
Like they kill everyone. The body count is pretty high in this movie.
we didn't check
We
movie.
didn't check
We gotta look this
moviebodycounts.com. We
up.
got to look it up. But
We'll look it up.
for not being killers, for being mercenaries, they didn't have to kill everyone.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know how efficient they were. I feel like they could have done a better job at
They're
avoiding
sloppy,
collateral
Drew. They're
damage. Like
Right.
even in the scene when they were just when they attack Johnny Glades at the boat and Forsyth shows up and he just starts shooting everybody.
Yeah.
It was just I don't know, man. It seemed very inefficient to me. But
Sounds like you got a few holes in your boats.
yeah, right. There was a lot of great one-liners in this
Yeah.
movie too. I thought Berenger himself was cast very well. We got some comments that we had people write into us. We'll read through those later. A comment specifically around that. But I want to talk a little bit more about Juan Lacus. We mentioned him earlier. I don't
Yeah.
know if this was
So-
actually Mark Anthony's first acting gig.
I believe it was. So yeah, tell us, Drew. How did Berenger get to go to school? So how did he get in the classroom?
As you
Drew?
said in the synopsis that you so eloquently read,
Thank you.
his girlfriend, which I also question, it wasn't really a girlfriend. It was kind of a acquaintance that maybe he was an on and off again.
on again,
hookup.
off again. Yeah.
He met this woman down in, I think she said South America. She was teaching down there.
Yep.
And essentially he comes back after this job. He just shows up at her house. Kind of creepy.
Right.
Especially since he's a mercenary. Shows up at her house, finds out she's been hurt because of Juan Lacus. Juan Lacus is the KOD head of the school. He's like the head of this gang. Badass extraordinaire, right? Not
KOD
so
stands
much.
for
Kings of Destruction.
that was the gang.
Kind of a lame gang name,
Lame
really.
name,
It's
yeah.
kind of lame. If
Yeah.
we're being honest and
Yeah.
rating gang
Yeah.
names, kind of lame.
Let's rethink that.
So, but anyway, he winds up confronting her in the classroom. She's not going to take his crap anymore. She calls him out on it. Goes to the principal.
Well, he threatens her life.
He threatens her life. Yeah, he pretty much says, "I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
And she goes to the principal, played by Winston Zedmore,
That's
aka Ernie Hudson. He decides he's not going to do anything. We get a little hint of something there. And he says, I can't do anything without proof.
My hands are tied.
My hands are tied. I need proof.
I'm a former cop. All I know is I can't expel this guy. We'll have a lawsuit on our hands. You need proof. You need evidence.
So without that, she says, "You want your proof? I'll get you your proof."
Yeah.
She goes outside. She's going to her car, and he gets all of his lackeys and his gang members, and they're making very lewd gestures at her, making lick things.
Lick things.
Lick things. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Hashtag lick
I
things.
can't-
Let's get it going.
Let's get it going. I can't say it without being too lewd here,
Yeah.
but we try to keep it PG-13 for the most part. They're surrounding her car. They're shaking her car. She's in there. You know, she gets out of the car. She makes the gang symbol at him,
Oh yeah.
and she turns it upside
Throws
down.
it upside down. You don't do that, Drew.
See, I'm not
from
not
the
up
streets,
to,
all right?
I'm not up to speed on the streets.
Yeah.
When we were watching this, you said to me, She might as well.
I first of all, I reacted. I was like, "Oh shit!" She did not just do that.
I was very, very confused as what the hell was going on.
So you throw up
there.
someone's gang symbol and you turn it upside down. It's like you're ready to start a war. It's like you might as like if she would have flipped him off, if she would have called him any racist name in the book, anything, it would have been. It wouldn't have been
Better?
worse. It would have been better. It would not have been. Could not have been worse than what she just did. Was disrespect the gang. And now they're out to kill her. Drew.
That was very confusing to me, but I guess I understood after you let me into it.
Yep.
But yeah, they're out to kill her. So Tom Berenger shows up. You know, she's like out running somewhere,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And as the synopsis said, she gets her kneecap broken.
Oh, jeez.
It was Johnny Glades, and he just comes out of nowhere, and I didn't know who this guy was. He pops out. She's going for a nice run at the beach in the daylight.
No, it's not Johnny Glades, by the way.
It wasn't-
That's a confusing
It looked just like
misconception.
him.
This was just a big goon. There's a big goon who looks like Johnny Glades.
I thought it was Glades
they're
himself.
two different
man.
guys, and I was confused myself. But Johnny Glades is alive at the end. This guy dies in the middle of the movie. When,
All right,
when
I got
Forsyth goes nuts.
confused.
Yeah.
I got confused.
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's
but
all right.
The guy kneecaps her like Tanya
Yeah.
Harding style.
Yeah.
And she goes down.
And from here, we get Tom Berenger's first fight of the movie, where he fights this goon, right? Tries to fight him off. Is Tom Berenger a good fighter?
So that's my other.
Is he a good fighter?
That's my other observation about this movie. The fighting is not so great.
I think it's realistic.
But they don't ever show him. They never show his face. There's definitely a stunt man.
But he's not doing crazy shit, though.
It's okay though. That means he should have done it himself then.
Yeah.
They should have done a better job at teaching him. He didn't have like the commitment to the role that Keanu Reeves had when he's
No.
playing John Wick.
No.
And they're not
Changed
asking him to do
game.
gun kata like Equilibrium here or anything, you know?
Is that what it's called?
Gun kata. But yeah, he fights him off, and he does a pretty good job of fighting
Look,
him off.
I appreciate the fighting because it was like slower pace, so you can see what's landing, and I thought it was realistic. Like he was messing the dudes up, but he was kind of doing it efficiently. He wasn't wasting any motions. You know what I mean? He wasn't
Yeah.
doing anything flashy. He almost lost this fight, by the way, but he was in khakis.
Yeah.
So you know
Were they pleated?
they were
He-
pleated.
He had pleated
It
khakis.
was 1996, so
He definitely had teacher outfits before he even became a teacher. It was like he was deciding that he was going to become a teacher before he worked.
like he kind of knew it was
Yeah.
like self-fulfilling
wasn't like-
prophecy.
It wasn't gym teacher where you wear the wind pants
Yeah.
with the polo tucked in with
If
the
he,
whistle.
if he was wearing web pants with the polo tucked in, then he would have been the substitute gym teacher for
Yeah,
sure.
right.
Yeah.
He was set up to be the
Yeah.
history teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he goes and he essentially says, you know what? He's got this personal vendetta now. He knows. He's
Yeah.
been thinking about what he wants to do with his life now that he's out. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to push drugs.
Yeah, he's
He
kind
doesn't
of
want to do any of that.
He's sitting on the couch. He's watching TV.
He decides he's going to become a teacher.
Yeah.
So he calls up his buddies, has them create some backstory for him, which is incredible, by the way. Incredible. I think he had 3 PhDs, one from Yale, one from Harvard, and one from Princeton. And it was unreal. Like the background, they're like, well, how did you expect that on such short time?
Yeah.
He winds up becoming qualified. He goes to the school and talks to Ernie Hudson.
He's basically like, I'm just gonna go behind my girlfriend's back and take her substitute job while she's out with a broken kneecap, and I'm gonna clean this school up. That's
So-
what I'm gonna do. And it's not even for real money. Like no one's
Yeah.
paying him to do this job.
Is he getting a W-2? Is he?
No, he's off the books on this one. He's just doing it with him and his crew. It's off like on a laugh. And their hope is, you know what? We're going to clean the school up. And along the way, we'll probably find some drug money. We'll keep it for ourselves.
So this creates a little tension between him and his team because Forsyth was clearly not having this because he said there's going to be money in it, but we're not going to get any right away. We got to do this job. We got to figure out a way to get in here and clean this up. There will be money. So Forsyth, from the beginning, is very upset. He approaches them at the gun range, and I'm pretty sure like somebody's shooting with headphones on, and he just walks up to them and taps them on the shoulder, like while the guy's, you know,
You don't do that.
he's like mid shot. You know, it's like that's the type of thing.
Do you want to sneak up on someone when they're shooting? You know, it's like you might have a
Coincidentally-
natural reaction, especially those dudes. They're like mercenaries, like natural reaction, you know?
Coincidentally, he snuck up on Joey Six, so
Yeah.
Joey Six didn't have his own six covered.
Joey 6, he doesn't like to be in the 9 position. He's got to be in the 6, man.
But he creates it like when he gets the job at the school, she says, "Give me." I don't even remember the guy's name. Call this guy.
Yeah, whatever.
Is it that I'm not a teacher? We probably have teachers that listen to this. When you're out, I want to know if you can write into us, thelastwordpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know, or on Twitter @thelastwordpod. If you're a teacher and you're out and you know you're going to be out, your leg is broken, somebody kneecapped you. Do you have to find your own substitute? Like they made it on her to go call somebody.
Well, there's
Like,
two schools of thought. Is A, that I thought it would make sense that you get your own sub. It's like
Maybe you can pick the choice,
Well,
but
because it's like it's such a it's like an important job, and you can't like miss days when you're a teacher, like
Yeah.
without notice. You know what I mean? So if you're sick, or if you're sick enough to where you cannot come into school, I feel like you better get somebody to fill in. Don't rely on the school to do it for you.
But how
right?
did they? I thought it was my understanding, and I don't know this, that the school had a pool of substitutes
They
that
might.
they knew were qualified,
Yeah.
not just get me some random guy. And maybe that's who this guy was. Maybe he
Yeah.
was part of that pool.
And you may be correct, but also we're talking about this inner city school that has no money.
It's true.
It's poor. Nobody wants to go there. So maybe you kind of like, oh yeah, you want to send somebody into this school,
So-
then they better know what they're getting into. You can't twist someone's arm to go teach in this school because they might, it's scary.
Let's talk a little bit about the school because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
This school was the biggest dump I've ever seen in my life. It was pretty bad. Now, if I would rather work like the worst job ever than
Yeah.
go become a substitute at this
Listen,
school.
Drew, I grew up on the streets. All right, I've been to schools like this.
Yeah, but this school was pretty
look,
bad.
My high school, Drew, it was a lot like this.
But
And
what I don't-
gotta tell you,
we were in the same high school.
we were in the same
What
classes.
classes
Drew.
were
We were in
you
the same
in?
classes. Drew, were you in honors classes?
What
Drew?
classes were you in?
Look, I was in the CP, and like it went down. All right,
But let me say this. There was a clear class divide with some of these classes because you go to the class that he was in, and I know it's a thing. You throw paper at the substitute. You goof off when you come in.
paper airplanes.
But they were doing some bad stuff.
Where's Jimmy? Oh, like Johnny raises his hand, acts like he's Jimmy, like
Yeah.
it's a big joke.
But they tagged the wall with gang signs.
Yeah.
Like they destroyed the room. They were playing rap music. It was pretty bad. But then that other teacher, the English guy, the English and drama guy with the dreads and the glasses, he seemed like he had an orderly class. Like, did he have the same people? What the hell was that about?
He's a drama teacher. So I
Yes.
feel like if you're in the drama class, it's like you choose that, right? So kids want to be there.
I feel like that program wouldn't exist at that school. They would just cut it.
Yeah.
It seems like the type of school that would do that.
No.
But this place had barbed wire around it. It
Oh,
had
yeah.
gang signs everywhere. These teachers were clearly, they just had it.
So let me ask. This is like a Seinfeld joke. I'm sorry. It's not. But it's something Seinfeld would do. Maybe think if you're goofing off in history class, then you would just tag the boards with your gang signs, right?
Yeah.
How do you if you have an art class? Do you goof off by like not doing art? Would you not tag the art room because that's like considered
You're rebelling.
schoolwork?
Yeah. You got to rebel against it.
That's,
Or
sorry.
you tag the stuff that you're not supposed to. You continue to do it. Like
Yeah.
they say, do it on this canvas, and you do it on the teacher's.
I'm gonna do it where
notebook
I
or
want to
something.
do it.
Yeah, I mean these kids would do it.
I'm sorry. It's a side
But
note. Go on.
but Juan Lacus is clearly the ringleader here, and we said a great name. I mean, I just say this name to myself during the day. I haven't watched this movie in 20 years, and
Juan
I'm
Lacus.
walking around saying Juan Lacus. How do you feel about him? Like, let's talk about him.
Yeah.
Villain scale. Like, he's not even really a villain. He's maybe like a sub mid boss. So like,
he's a level boss. He's not the final boss.
like if we go by the Mortal Kombat scale, you go up the tower.
yeah,
He's not Goro.
he's not really
Motaro.
Goro because Johnny Glades is Goro.
Yeah.
So and
Right.
Ernie Hudson is Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
So or Shang Tsung, depending on
Right,
your
right.
flavor.
You could argue the opposite, but maybe because Johnny Glades is the ultimate
Yeah.
drug dealer.
Juan
but-
Lacus is more like Kano, right?
Yeah, he's just a bad guy. That's
Scorpion,
like-
maybe. I don't
Maybe
know.
you beat him like
Yeah.
midway through or
Yeah.
something. He's just in the way.
Yeah.
But he's a kid. I mean, first off, how old was Mark Anthony in this movie?
I think he was probably like 28.
I think, what did we say? The oldest was Abram from Walking Dead. He was like 40, playing a 17-year-old in
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks 3.
That's right.
Our one episode. Go back and listen to that, lastwordpodcast.com. Shameless plug. But Juan Lacus, I mean, look, man, I don't want to get grim here, but was he healthy when he filmed this movie? Because
You were very concerned throughout the movie about that.
I was like, you asked me, did Mark Anthony die? Is
I thought he
still
was dead
alive?
for a second. Honestly, I thought he died. I thought he was.
I'm not gonna lie. I was very concerned for his well-being.
Yeah, man.
We
He's
were
very
watching
pale.
this. I thought he was sick,
His eyes are
man.
bugging out.
And not to make light of it, but he looked like he had some type of like serious
Now,
illness.
Drew, he is playing a gang member, a gang leader. Maybe he's on drugs.
Yeah,
know?
you got to test your
maybe
product.
he's like the makeup artist is just really doing a great job.
Test the product.
Yeah.
Make sure it's good.
So maybe it's like he's like just props to the makeup artist. Maybe it was on purpose.
So
you know?
did you believe him as kind of the end all be all of the school when Behringer comes in and starts basically telling him, like, as you heard in the beginning, like, don't mess around in my classroom?
Yeah.
Did you believe Locus was a threat when he was threatening the teacher?
I did. Here's why. See, you questioned his effectiveness, and I completely disagree. I think he was a great gag leader, especially for like in high school with kids, because what he did was, first of all, he completely puffed his chest out at the teachers that he can, easily take on his own, right?
Yeah, making lick signs or whatever.
Like, no disrespect, but like, of course he's gonna bully a female teacher because he thinks he's a big man,
Right.
He's all about that life. So when he's sitting back, he's kind of scoping out Shale or Mr. Smith or Behringer. I don't know what we're gonna call him in this episode.
Behringer.
Whatever. Either one of them. Behringer.
The sniper.
The substitute.
Jake Taylor.
The substitute, Jake Taylor. Yeah.
Catcher.
So if you notice him, he's just sitting back. He's not really saying anything. He's kind of like
He was advising.
scoping him out, kind of seeing what he's all about, eyeing him up. Is this guy a threat? Is he a punk? What is he doing?
He was observing the substitute.
Right. So it's late to class, and Behringer knows that Juan Locus is the leader. When it first walked in the door, he knew about Juan Locus. He heard about him, right, from his girlfriend.
He had the intel, right?
Yeah, the intel. So he makes Juan Locus write "I'm sorry" on the blackboard 100 times, right? And
That
you're
was
thinking
awesome.
You're thinking big gang leader Juan Locus. He's not going to stand for that. But no, he goes and he complies and he does it.
Yeah.
It's all part of the game of like, I'm going to do this. Let's see what this guy's got.
Yeah.
Let's see what else he does. It's kind of like a recon thing for his boss, for
Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson. Rollet?
Yeah, Rollet. Principal
yeah.
Rollet.
Right. Yeah.
And I like that, though.
Right.
I like the cat and mouse
Isn't
game
that
of this
good? Yeah.
movie where between Behringer and Rollet, where
Yeah.
Ernie Hudson, and also Juan Locus and
Yeah.
Behringer.
And there's a subtle little scene when he's, when we did our clip in the beginning where he basically just like obliterates two of the KOD, like throws the can in the kid's face, breaks his fingers, takes the ice pick from the other kid. And then there was a third kid. And then all this time, Locus was just sitting back, kind of chilling, just observing, right?
He had like people around him.
Those are his crew that the substitute is just obliterating. They're just embarrassing, right? And he's just sitting there, he's taking it. A third guy sitting right next to Locus stands up, ready to pounce, and he just pulls his shoulder and rips him down and says, "No, stand down, stand down."
Yeah.
He's observing. He's like, "Look, this is not our battle. Not in the classroom. We can't do this
So
here."
he was like playing chess.
Yeah.
And these other
Yeah.
guys are playing checkers.
Yeah, they're playing checkers. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to stand up," because the bravado, like, "Oh, man, let's get him. You better get him."
Yeah.
No, you sit back.
Live to fight another day.
Live to fight another day. This is not he's going to win this battle. We're going to get him later. We get
How
his
did
ass.
you feel about the power move of Behringer making him get up in front of the class? He pretty much bitched him out, right?
He
Like
did.
you're gonna get up here and you're gonna write,
Yeah.
I'm
But-
sorry,
But it takes leadership
to do it.
for Locus to just take it
Yeah.
as part of a chess move.
You talk about this movie being in '96. He looked like he was in '96. I mean, or probably like '86. He had the outfits that the costume department did a great
Yeah,
job.
those
here.
with the windbreaker game,
He had the
tracksuit
windsuit,
game.
the Nike suit, the tracksuit. Did anyone ever actually wear that out like
Yeah.
in two pieces?
What about the motocross? The
Yeah.
motocross outfit.
I
He's
remember we were
wearing.
like, "What is he wearing?"
He's not riding a bike.
He had like BMX gear
Yeah.
on. He had like a shirt with sponsors. I'm like,
Like,
what
I
are
can't believe he didn't
doing?
have like those yellow like
Glasses.
goggles, right?
The Seth Green
The
glasses.
Seth Green glasses from Can't Hardly Wait. That would have completed the whole thing, man.
So you think he did? You think he did a respectable job? Like if
He was a
you're-
leader, Drew.
Give him. All right, give me the school. Did he pass? We're talking about substitute here.
Yeah.
What's his grade?
He
How
got
did
an
do?
A for leader of the KOD as
did?
far as the leader of the kids,
All right.
of his own peers, right?
All right. So how do you feel? So let's rate Mr. Shale, Mr. Smith, Mr. Behringer,
Yeah.
the substitute,
The substitute.
on his first couple days of school. How do you think he handled?
How was he at school?
How do you think if you're doing the observation, you're the
Yeah.
superintendent, you're sitting in the back
Yeah.
of the classroom.
Yeah.
How do you think he did handling this thing? He came in and he had a pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
you
man.
know.
He was great. And it seemed to be like we saw scenes throughout the movie where it's like his girlfriend, I forget her name already, Mrs. Jane. I think her name is Jane. Who knows? It's probably Nathan.
I don't remember. Jane Hetzko.
Yeah. Where she was like sad because like I think she felt like she was getting through to some of the students. Some of them respected her, right?
Yeah.
And you could tell some are there to learn. Like Jerome was there to learn.
He was a little tough, but he definitely
Yeah.
folded when Smith, the substitute, got on him a little bit.
Yeah, and I think Lisa was another one where
Rodriguez.
she was there to learn. But no, he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, I thought it was a little unrealistic that he just got up there and commanded the class. Like, I know he can scare the shit out of some kids, no problem.
Yeah.
But
he's given pep talks to his
Yeah.
men before. So
yeah, he was basically just talking about Vietnam. He was in Vietnam. It was easy. It's easy to talk
When
about
he
Vietnam.
started-
You know, it's just,
why is it a teacher thing? And again, I'm not a teacher, so I don't know this thing, but like you
Yeah.
go to talk about something and you just write the name of it on the board
Yeah.
and that's it.
we're gonna talk about Vietnam today,
So
kids.
he writes Vietnam.
He turns his back VEI,
And he was having like
it.
PTSD as he was going through that.
Yeah, man.
I like to imagine that this movie is a continuation
With Spidey
of
sense.
Platoon or
Yeah.
Sniper,
Yeah,
where
Or-
he's pretty much in all of these
or
movies.
Major League. You know,
Major League
Taylor.
too, Jake Taylor. Yeah. But yeah, I think he did a pretty good job. If I would hire him as a substitute
yeah.
teacher.
The classy move where he had Locus up on the board, and he took that opportunity with Locus up there in a submissive form, talking about how gangs are awful, and do you want your kids growing up to be a gang member? Like, he had a very powerful speech.
He said he cared about them.
Yeah.
He made the kids really
Yeah.
double think their life.
Yeah, and he related to them as far as like, you know, equating gang
Seeing
life
people
to
die.
being in the war and living and dying and it not being a life for you, and it was great. So before we move on from this, I'd ask you: is it a violation that he went on to do this whole substitute thing and didn't tell his girlfriend, who he seems pretty serious with? I mean, they're like living together as he's there.
Yeah, I see. Here's why it is a violation and why it's not a violation. It is a violation if he's so good of a substitute teacher that he takes her job
Yeah,
because
Which
he was
might
pretty
be.
good. He commanded the class. I mean, she clearly couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying she's a bad teacher, but I don't think that school's the right fit for her.
yeah,
You know, not that she doesn't care about the kids. She clearly does, but she wasn't able to reach some of the trouble kids, and he was able to clean up the mess.
right, man.
You know, this is like Kindergarten Cop, meets Dangerous Minds, where, Arnold Schwarzenegger he's not really a teacher, but he winds up actually doing a good job. And sorry, the lady who was out on maternity leave, she's not getting her job back.
No, he's better.
He comes in and he's good.
Yeah.
Here's why it's not a violation, because he was trying to help her out. He was doing a good job for her so that when she did go back, these
Yeah.
jerks weren't there anymore.
I guess her ultimate goal, if you had to give her a wish, right? Her ultimate goal would be, I want to clean up the gang members so I can actually teach the kids
Yes.
I want to learn.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what he's kind of doing.
he was trying to help her.
No, I know she probably doesn't want him to murder every gang member in the school,
Right.
which he ends up doing. But
That's where it's an issue, right? Because he's a little bit sloppy, as we mentioned before.
so he deceives her for like half the movie. Outright lies to her, uses her contacts to get himself in this school. And when she finds out, she forgives him in like 5 seconds flat. Do you think it's an easy forgiveness? Is it a one conversation forgiveness?
Oh, I mean, they were serious, but they weren't married. I mean, it's not like he was
Yeah.
living a double life. It was like a week.
I don't know. They seem like the kind of couple that is like they're like together. Maybe marriage isn't like their thing, but they're clearly like
partnership.
they're clearly a strong partnership.
I don't put it this way. I think she would get over it, and she seemed to get over it okay until people started getting shot. You
Yeah.
know, and then they showed up at her house and like
They did show up at her house and bust everything up.
and they
Yeah.
try to like take her hostage. They
Yeah.
follow the kids. Juan Lacus and his crew, but ultimately, I think he had good intentions. Maybe it was a bad execution of the intentions.
Yeah. And-
he was just sloppy.
maybe if he didn't substitute, right? If he stayed clear of this, what if they would have came and finished the job because they banged her kneecap and the guy was going for a second hit, right?
Yeah. And the truth is, maybe they would have killed her.
Yeah, maybe they would have gone after her again.
So,
because
essentially-
she did, majorly disrespect.
They traded their lives for hers.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about their romance. Was that other teacher, the drama teacher, was he friend zoned by her? Because I got the impression that he liked
you know
her.
what? I feel like he likes her a little bit.
I got the impression he really liked her.
Maybe that guy's married. I don't know. They didn't say too much.
I didn't see a wedding ring,
Yeah.
but I wasn't looking for it. I just got the impression that he was a little jealous once the substitute showed up.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is true or not. It just seems to me that his dreads were fake. I feel like it was a wig.
This guy looks like, and I was saying this the whole time we were watching this movie. Was this guy in The Wire? He looks like a guy from The Wire. Like I thought he was one of the other detectives or something, or he was in Oz. He seemed like he was in something in the 90s around that, but I don't think
I feel
he was
like
in anything.
you're confusing him with the Harold Peterou or however the hell you say his name.
Walt from
Yeah,
or not Walt, yeah.
Michael
from Lost.
from Lost. Like he was the guy in the wheelchair in Oz who had the long dreads.
I don't know.
That's who you're thinking of, I think.
He seemed like he was in a
Yeah.
Seagal movie or something as another like geeky, lackey guy that needed the protection of the substitute or Seagal or somebody. I don't know. He just seemed like he was
My
in one of
favorite,
those
most
things.
memorable scene. I'm sorry to jump around, but of this whole
Okay.
movie is when he's like eavesdropping, finds the drugs and Ernie Hudson and all that, and they catch him. So they're chasing around the school, and he
goes to the
gets
gym?
cornered in the gym, and he has nowhere to go, so he starts climbing the rope. It's my favorite part of the movie.
It's like that is. I'd rather get shot
Where
than
you going?
climb the rope and fall.
It's embarrassing. Come on,
yeah,
man.
he couldn't even climb it. The other
Yeah.
guy started climbing it. And
Mark
stabs
Anthony
him
got
in
up
the
there in
arm.
like 2 seconds flat.
Yeah, I mean, Lacus has some
Yeah.
athletic ability here, even though he was probably sick with some type
Yeah.
of disease while he was filming this. But,
But speaking of not friend zone, there was like a semi love scene or like an attempted love scene. It was aborted
it was,
because the lady has a full legged cast,
So-
right?
we love the love scene
Yeah.
here.
And Tom Bayer just tried to get some action going.
Yeah.
You know?
He's
And-
been in Cuba for a
yeah.
while.
and it's like you can't really get
you-
at it.
Could you do it?
Is it possible? Can you do that with a full legged cast? Like,
How high did it go up?
is it possible? Oh, it got up.
It went up. I mean,
got
we
up.
know he got up, but
It got up to like Daisy Duke territory.
So it was pretty high up.
It was
there.
high up.
I mean, they tried it. I mean, they ended the scene
I
early.
mean, like you could go, I don't want to get too graphic, but I feel like you're gonna have to like bust out the Kama Sutra.
Yeah, but-
but I feel like if you're dedicated enough, you
there's
get there.
definitely some book that shows them how to tackle that one.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe it was successful. They both seemed happier the next day. I mean, I like to imagine some success was had, but
Yeah, he scratched her itch, if you know what I mean.
she did have I can't go on. Let's talk about Ernie Hudson for a second.
Let's move on.
I'm imagining ways that he was scratching this itch, and it's
Yeah.
just too graphic for me right now.
Move on.
So let's talk a little bit about Ernie Hudson, because the dynamic between him and Tom Berenger's character from the get-go was contentious at best.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was great.
Ernie Hudson doesn't like people coming in there telling him what to do.
No, it's his house.
And
It's his
Berenger
yard.
was an alpha dog coming in there, man. He was top dog, apex predator. He rolls up into the school, and Ernie Hudson maintains this kind of doesn't know what the hell's going on type thing. Like, I'm just taking care of my school.
Just the principal.
For as crappy as that school was, man, he was lining his pockets. That office was nice.
Oh yeah. Like what is that? The office is like another world. He's got the Rolex on.
Yeah, like a mahogany desk.
mahogany desk.
But Berenger calls him out right away. He sees that Rolex
Yeah.
right away, and he knows like what is going on with this dynamic here. Because just in general, Ernie Hudson as a character, like he has a nice family. Like, does his wife not question him about what's going on at the school? Does his family not worry about his well-being?
He's a former cop, so I guess they figure he knows what he's doing. He can handle himself as a former cop. A bunch of punk kids. They got metal detectors.
He yelled at him too.
Yeah.
He yelled at him a little bit, I guess.
And one would assume, but we don't really see this happen. But one would assume that he rules with an iron fist, but also shows a little bit of respect. You know what I mean?
Do you think
he knows how to handle those kids?
Do you think he like fake sends Juan Lacus to detention
Oh yeah,
and all that kind of stuff? Like he has to maintain.
it's like a meeting.
yeah,
It's
right.
like a meeting. Yeah.
The bathroom meeting.
And plus, he's in bed with the KOD. He's in bed with the roughest gang in the school, so they can be sure not to mess with him, so to
Yeah.
speak.
So we find out, it seems, that this trouble, his dirtiness, started back when he was a police officer.
Yeah.
He's running for council now or something. I don't know if it was council or mayor.
Mayor, one of those whatevers. Yeah.
How do you feel about Berenger? Like, at what point, like, does it get weird for you there when you start seeing them in the office?
Yeah, well, Berenger, you could tell he's eyeing him up right away.
Yeah.
And you could tell that, first of all, the first tip he gets is from his girl, where he kind of figures that, this kid, while Locks is running amok and the principal's not doing anything about it. So first of all, he's probably got a question like, what's this guy all about? Why is he letting this kid threaten people, hurt people, injure people, and not do anything about it? Then he sees the nice office. He asks for Locke's file, and Hudson changes the subject, kind of
Yeah.
like, we can't.
You're a temporary employee.
We can't do that. Like, all excuses in the world, right?
Yeah.
Fish bowl. He's got the fish tank. Rolex
it's like a
watch.
nice fish tank,
Yeah.
man.
He sees something's going on. Where's this guy getting his money from?
Yeah.
He knows what a cop's salary pays. He knows what a school official salary pays. Not very much. Where's he getting this stuff from, right?
So at the same time, though, like the dynamic with Hudson was he was kind of feeling him out too. Like,
Yeah.
where'd this guy come from? I don't know what he's doing.
He's got this ridiculous pedigree that is obviously fake,
Yeah.
but you can't prove that it's fake.
yeah, you couldn't prove it.
So it's
they
like
had it doctored.
it's kind of got an eye on him. Then he spies on the classroom and sees that all right, this kid, he immediately has them under control. What's going on?
Let's talk a little bit about the twist too, because the first time I saw this movie, I was actually floored
Yeah.
when midway through the
It was a
movie
good twist.
you
It was.
find out that he was actually behind everything. Because
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
No, yeah, it was a good twist.
But
It was
looking
well
back
hidden.
on it,
it was
it's
well hidden,
obvious.
but also it was out in plain sight if you're looking for it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to look for it that early in the movie. No, but it was good.
So what do you think about the plan here? He's rolling drugs through the school. You know, he's rolling them through the school buses.
Is that a good idea?
I
that a
feel
good
like there's
plan?
better ways to do it. Like, I don't know how I would do it.
They were lining the school bus like with like the siding, and I
Dude,
guess that's a good move.
listen.
I don't know.
I rode on school buses for how many years? Like, they break down every day.
Yeah,
Like, that thing's
They
going to
do.
get broken down. They're going to have to take it to the
Yeah,
scrap yard.
they
The-
really
the
do.
product is going to get moved to the
Yep.
wrong place. They acted like it's a foolproof plan, man. You got to go through this. This is the best way to do it. There's no other way to do it. It just seemed highly dangerous and unnecessarily risky
Yeah, it
to
did,
do
didn't it?
this.
let's do it in the school. But really, I guess like that's like the biggest piece of crap school. Nobody's really going to be looking there.
Yeah,
so I
except
guess
for-
I guess it's safe to load it and out.
And when the teacher got caught, you mentioned he was climbing the rope.
Yeah,
Didn't they check to make sure all the cars in the parking lot were empty? Like, he didn't even leave yet,
they did this the night of Parent Teacher Day,
which is
the worst idea.
Is it just the DGAF? They don't even
Yeah,
care.
Or maybe it's just they were just smelling themselves a little too much. They thought they were untouchable. I don't know.
And what's his personal motto? Power is
Power perceived is power achieved.
and he does a karate
True.
chop on the butt paddle
Yeah.
for in front of Behringer, and they have this little like standoff machismo thing. I mean, Behringer, I think, knows something's up right away, man.
Yeah.
This plan is just a bad plan. I would not be selling drugs out of the school.
So what did you think of Ernie Hudson as Rolay?
I thought he was great.
Did you think did he
I thought he was
fit
great.
as a principal?
I thought he was great.
I don't know. I didn't. I'm not sure I quite buy him as a principal. I don't know why.
But see, I bought him as a former cop that became a principal.
Yeah.
That's how I bought him. He said he got his degree at night school.
He's definitely a former cop.
I believed him as that. Maybe he was not the best principal, but I thought he did a great job. I thought he was one of the better actors in the movie, personally.
Yeah. I mean, the acting was fine.
Oh, you're saying
I don't know.
as the
I
character.
just don't see him as a principal. I don't know.
Who would you cast instead? Like if you're
Oh,
talking about
geez.
the 90s, I mean, I can't even think of anybody that would be better in that role.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess he played bad pretty well. Like he did a good job of being.
He did a good job of being
arrogant. He's pretty
sinister.
damn arrogant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when Behringer kept challenging him on stuff, it felt like there was definitely some animosity. Like we told him, I'm not
Yeah.
giving him the file, like you said.
He was
There's a couple other
sly.
things. He was real sly.
I guess I don't buy him as a principal because maybe he did a great job and he wasn't really a principal.
you knew right away because
Yeah.
you're like, this guy, something's up here.
Yeah, he wasn't really a principal. He was really a crooked cop, drug dealer, trying to climb his way up the social ladder kind of guy.
Yeah. So I think he did a pretty good job, but the plan itself was bad.
Yeah.
I just think it was amateur.
Well, let's circle back to the scene of the movie, and that involves right after the reveal that Ernie Hudson is the bad guy. He is the Shang Tsung, if you will, the Shao Kahn, if you will, of this whole operation.
One could argue Johnny
Yeah.
Glades is up there too.
Yeah. So he has a meeting with Juan Lacus in the bathroom, and
That
he
was a
basically-
little weird.
Yeah. Basically says, library, 4:00 to do this.
I'll
Or-
make sure he's there.
Or he says like 4:00 after the meeting. They were going to do a drive-by. No, they were going to do a drive-by.
Yeah.
And Shale sniffs it out immediately,
yeah.
And actually, no, he was eavesdropping with the world's
He had the biggest
the world's
briefcase.
biggest briefcase. bug.
Somehow he tapped into
Yeah.
the closed circuit television
Yeah.
that wasn't in the school after he implanted his own crew in the school.
Yeah, forgive our faulty memories. It's like midnight right now.
It reminded
We're
me.
just,
It reminded me a lot of like Wayne's World 2 when the crew like starts taking the jobs and they're
Yeah.
like scoping out the blue oyster.
yeah.
Like, and you got like
Position one, I'm in position.
he's like on the power line.
The one dude has like a hoagie with like a walkie-talkie sticking out of it.
He's on the power lines.
Yeah.
Like his one guy's like in there doing like janitor work,
Yeah.
like installing the cameras. You put the camera in there. That's how I thought his crew was.
Yeah,
It reminded me so
you're
much
right,
of
you're
Wayne's
right.
World. But yeah, he's watching this thing. He goes outside. He doesn't see it. And he comes back in and he basically runs and they think he's running.
Yeah.
He wasn't running. He was trying to trap them. I
Yeah,
think
he's
he
gonna
knew
put
how to
him
get
in
them.
the spot. Yeah.
Confined space, man.
Yeah.
He knows about urban warfare.
Oh yeah. Gets him into the library, basically disarms them. I don't know how. Like
That was an awesome fight.
yeah. And throw some great one-liners. I mean, we couldn't do it justice. You know, there's a whole no talking in the library, which is like it's obvious it's out there, but I mean the execution was flawless.
If I can say one thing about him, it's that he executed his lines
Yeah,
perfectly.
yeah.
He had like a Mr. Nice Guy
Yeah.
style way of doing it.
And it was more slow but efficient fighting. And then he starts tossing dudes out the first story window. Second story window.
Because Hudson, can you imagine? So the look of satisfaction on Ernie Hudson's face when he thinks that Behringer's dead, like he thinks he got him.
Heard somebody fly out the window. He's like, oh, that's got to be my
He
man.
pulls out a cigar. He's,
Yep.
he's like
Yeah.
celebrating. It was like, that's how committed he was to this role. The body goes out the window. Then he hears another one. And it's like, obviously it wasn't him. But I thought that was like a nice touch on the movie. And the way that they played that whole scene was pretty awesome. But the fight in the library itself was pretty good. You had these guys trying to fight him and he mopped the floor with these guys. Like, I hate to say it, but he Seagal'd them.
He did.
He mopped
He
the
did.
floor with them, you know?
But again, like it was sloppy, but it was efficient. Like I felt it was like there was an aura of realism to it that you don't get with like the highly choreographed Seagal fights or the Van Damme's like crazy athleticism kind of thing, right?
Did you sense a little sexual tension between him and the librarian?
Oh, the librarian wanted him big time.
It
of
was
course.
like, you know, he just saved her life.
Yeah.
You know, maybe she didn't have a cast for him to scratch though. But I thought that was pretty a nice touch on it
her
too.
itch hasn't been scratched for a long time. Drew.
Yeah, but
All right. She'll take any kind of relief she could get.
All right. So let's talk about Goro. We're going up the ladder here. Johnny Glades, you mentioned he's kind of a weak punk.
Goro has what? He's got 4 hands. He could scratch a lot of itches.
Yeah, but it's midnight. It's after dark here.
After dark.
The lights
Last
are
row
going
after
down.
dark.
The lights are going down. I don't know about Johnny Glades, man. I feel like he didn't
Great
really.
name.
It was a great name.
Great name.
So why do they call him Johnny Glades? Is it because he's dealing in the Everglades?
He's from the Everglades, much like Joey Six. It's like the name means something.
So
right?
when they called him an Indian, I thought he was a literal Indian from India, not Native
Not a
American.
Native
because
American.
you don't really say Indian anymore. That's not really like
96 though. It's
Yeah.
like they did say it back
in
then.
in 96,
Yeah.
but it's not like approved vernacular these days. You know what I mean? So I thought he was literally from India. So when he showed up, I'm like, that guy doesn't look like he's from India. I'm like, where did he come from India?
He's probably the worst actor in the whole movie.
He was
He was
bad.
pretty awful.
He
right?
was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I thought that he was that mid-level boss. He was
Yeah.
like the first level guy from the beginning that you said was just some low-level guy that got killed.
It wasn't a great payoff. I think he actually gets the drop put on him by
Forsyth.
on the big scene at the
Fake
end.
Gary Busey.
And he there wasn't much to him. I mean, he's brute force a little bit, but not much more. I don't know.
He was pissed about the drugs and
Yeah,
it kind of didn't really matter at all.
Do you think that Johnny Glades is like the main guy, or do you think Johnny Glades answers to a bigger guy?
I think that he's probably like the southeast wing of
Yeah.
whatever cartel. Maybe if the drugs are coming from South America, right there. I mean, Florida's a major hub. Miami, it's like
Yeah.
the cocaine capital, right at that time.
Sure.
The 80s and all that. Maybe he's the main boss of that guy, but I kind of look at him as like a Tuco, like where like talking
Yeah,
about Tuco, Johnny
yeah.
Six. Tuco, if you think about Breaking Bad terms, like Tuco still answered to somebody, right? Back in the main cartel.
Yeah.
So I look at him like that. He's like a Tuco.
So Behringer gets all his intel. He gathers intel throughout while we're going on. And, well, I didn't think Glade was a very strong character. He's obviously a terrible actor. I loved the sniveling kind of wuss guy from earlier that
Oh yeah,
they turned down the
fiber
drug
guy.
Yeah, the fiber guy that got his pants shattered, right?
His pants were shat.
by Shale. So there's a throwback to
Shale
him
shat
to
in
where
his
like
pants?
he kind of has knowledge of this drug game. So
I think he connected the dots
Yeah.
by the end.
Behringer gets wind of this guy, goes down, he's playing highlight, right? hunts the guy down like the Terminator while the guy's
plays
playing
Jai Alai?
highlight. Rich people, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's a Miami thing. So the guy sees him, and Bear just like blatantly threatening his life. While the guy's got his stupid highlight hat on and little claw. If you don't know what highlight is, you're wearing this big like wicker
like-
claw.
It's like John.
Yeah. And you're whipping like these huge, like, I don't know, they're kind of like,
It's like a baseball, isn't it?
no, it's like harder than that. It's like
It's
a pool cue, but bigger, basically.
like just the name highlight.
Yeah.
Like when's the last time you ever saw anybody
Yeah,
play
right?
highlight?
It's probably like a total rich guy sport. Whatever.
It's like polo.
And he's like threatening his life, and the guy's like, hey, you can't threaten me in public like this. What do you call? Call the cops. And then Bear's just barreling at him. Starts whipping highlight balls at him. He actually nails him in the ankle. And like Bear just like, he's like mad. Just pissed him off
It's
even
like
more.
it's actually an effective strategy if you were good at it.
Threw his helmet at him. Bear actually like catches it. Proceeds to beat the ever-loving shit out of his face with the highlight helmet.
And the guys, and meanwhile, there's two guys. They're just sewing the
They're
highlight.
just so he's like, I'm not getting involved in this.
What is that called? What's the glove thing called?
I don't know. It's probably a flippy, probably
highlight
some
flipper?
stupid name like a clicky. I
don't
don't know. His
just-
wiki.
I just like that those two guys were just sitting there,
Yeah.
like they continued to just.
And they were like sewing faster. They were nervous. You could tell. So he's
he
beating the
messed
shit.
him up.
I don't know the name of this guy. He's beating the shit out of him. He's a weasel. Getting the info.
Weasel's
finding out
perfect.
what they're doing, when they're doing it. Tells the guy, leave the country. You have
Loser
24 hours.
Loser leaves town
He
match.
lost. The loser leaves town match. You imagine you piss someone off so much that has such high power over you that they tell you to leave the country.
Would you do it? That's the question. Why can't you just move to Atlanta or
Yeah.
Georgia? Like it's not that far from Florida.
what's he gonna
Go
do,
to a different
find you?
state. Go
Yeah.
move to California.
Yeah, like really.
Go do your thing in California. He's not going to check that he left the
Yeah.
country. He's going to check his passport for stamps.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's ridiculous. But he does. He goes to Johnny Glades and he says like, "Oh, I got a flight tomorrow morning. I got to visit my mom. She's sick."
Give me my money. I need my cut now.
High lie. Like get out of here.
One of my favorite scenes.
It
Love
is awesome.
Other than the teacher climbing the rope with nowhere to go.
It felt so much like a Seagal movie. Like this part to me, it felt so close to like something that would happen in a Seagal movie, except he
Yeah.
wouldn't get hit.
Yeah, Seagal would get in a fight with someone playing highlight. Like that is a Seagal scene for
Right?
sure. Yeah.
So long story short, this deal is going down. Johnny Glades gets involved. All this stuff is happening. Juan Lacus and his crew wind up finding out about the substitute being who he is, the boyfriend of the teacher that he wants to kill.
Yeah.
They wind up following two students, Jerome and I think the other girl,
Lisa.
the two students out of 30 that want to learn.
Yeah.
They follow her back to her apartment and hold them hostage. Behringer comes in and he knows shit's about to go down. Jerome winds up having to shoot him because Behringer actually gets schooled by these guys,
Oh yeah.
which I thought was a little weak there. But Lacus dies, and it wasn't of whatever disease he was fighting. He got shot, I think, in the gut. He just died. It
Yeah, man.
was like weak.
It was a weak death because I feel he was.
Definitely Kano.
Well, I feel like he was a good maneuverer, but obviously he was dealing with some illnesses. He was very sickly, very skinny.
he
couldn't fight his own fights.
He couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
He
So
had some type of disease.
So he died, and there's only one guy left to get, and that's Big Bad Ernie Hudson with his boy Johnny Glades. So they end up so Behringer and his team end up holding up inside the school right before the big drug deal.
Like Home Alone style.
Yeah, Home Alone style. Hudson and his crew roll up. They try to negotiate. Goes nowhere, obviously. And then we got ourselves a nice little Equalizer or Home Alone style
Shootout. Man.
Shoot 'em up, right? That's how we had the movie.
Blatant disregard for this school. Just blowing
Yeah.
doors up. Just shooting everybody.
I remember the one scene where they shot the chalkboard, and you were very interested. You were like, "Oh, so that's what the chalkboard looks like."
Because, like, when's the
Yeah.
last time you ever seen behind a chalkboard?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what was it? It was falling apart like slate, because it is slate, I guess.
I loved that the entire this
The
was like a
Quake
war
boards.
zone, and everyone had silencers.
Yeah.
It was like a silencer fight. The machine guns, the pistols, everything silencers.
I gotta tell you, man, it took a damn long time for the cops to show up. They didn't show up till the end of the movie.
because it was silent.
Yeah, but there's lights going off.
There was
there's things
grenades.
going on,
I think when
somebody threw a grenade.
I think when Luis Guzman hit the grenade on the rooftop of the school, that's when the cops like, all right, Enough is
we better
enough. Let's go
check
down
that
there. There's
out.
grenades going off.
They probably figure this school's so messed up anyway. It's probably
So
it doesn't matter.
another Tuesday.
It's like
Yeah.
the other substitutes. They don't want
Yeah.
to go to school. The
You hear
cops don't wanna
gunfire.
go
It's like,
there.
yeah, it's just gunfire. But then when the grenade goes, you're like, all right, let's go.
They dialed it up a
Yeah.
notch. Yeah, but Behringer's team gets taken out.
Yeah, they're severely outnumbered, but at the same time, I feel like they're not very good.
So who
right?
shows up though? Tell the rival.
The
Merc.
rival mercenary, right? The guy with the tape, the guy with the mercenary tape. He shows up and just a bunch of henchmen, just him and his crew, and he's rolling like 20 deep, right?
And they had what, 6 people?
Yeah.
Maybe 6.
Well, yeah, you had Forsyth, you had Luis Guzman, you had Joey Six or whatever the hell.
I like that Forsyth was in like the shop class area where they were like
Yeah.
doing mechanic car repairs and stuff. And he had like all the gear with him.
Yep.
I liked him. He actually was probably underrated
Yeah.
in my
The
opinion.
wild card, he's always double wielding.
And I thought this movie was going to be ripe for a double cross. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to double cross him. Yeah.
because all he cared about was money, and they
Yeah.
really set it up so that when Johnny Glades got involved, he was gonna basically
Yeah.
double cross him for the money.
And
I
he had-
thought he was gonna go
He had
bad.
conflict earlier in the movie with Behringer and a couple funny scenes, but he rigged the cocaine hub with C4. Great move.
I thought they were gonna coke rage.
Yeah.
when all
well,
the
Johnny
smoke-
Glades was like full of coke, man.
should he have like had a coke rage where he just
Yeah, you would think, right? You remember Tony Montana, man? You get enough of that in, you could take some bullets.
yeah, like,
right?
he's gonna be just
I mean,
walking down like
I-
a zombie.
I'm gonna take Scarface's fact. I mean, I'm gonna assume that's what really happened.
And he's a big guy to begin with.
Yeah,
He's the
that-
type of guy that could take a lot of shots.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he ate the C4 though. There's no coming back from that.
and some of those guys only had 9s, man. They didn't even have like automatic
With
weapons.
silencers, and if you play Call of Duty, you know that if you put a silencer on your
lowers the
gun,
power.
you lower the power just a little bit.
He could-
So
I
if you
mean,
put a silencer on a 9, it's like basically just like a
It's
rubber
like a
bullet.
water
It's like a
gun.
rubber bullet. It's like a water
It's
gun.
like a water
It's like
gun.
blanks. It's like firing blanks.
I mean, they're not going to even die from that, the way
Yeah.
that they were getting shot.
Yeah, man.
So, I don't know. Some of the guys had good guns. I mean, Guzman had the grenade. There was a lot going on with
Took
that.
out a sniper,
But I mean,
They weren't good. They all died except for Joey Six.
what else can we say about this team?
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty bad.
Yeah. So that's why they got rubbed out by the government because like they were like, yeah, this team
I
is
mean, you
that
said
good. We
it.
have a better team.
The actual A team was
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, him and Joey Six walk away and the movie's over. That's it. I mean, they kill everybody and the cops come. That end of story. I mean, how
And
do you
the-
think the fight went?
And literally the credits roll.
You know what though? I like that.
You like
I
that?
liked it.
There's no resolution.
I didn't
There's
need
no
any.
next day at school.
I didn't need any. They mentioned it.
Johnny Six or Joey Six, whatever the hell's name is.
Johnny
guy,
Six.
Tuco.
Johnny Five.
Tuco, he goes, oh man, I feel bad for the kids that can come to school tomorrow.
They're
It's like,
gonna be traumatized.
there are bodies everywhere. In the parking lot, there's bodies on the steps.
That school is literally
Yeah.
a war zone.
Yeah, school's out for the rest of the year, man. They're not going to clean that up.
But would they? Because it seemed like that school didn't even care. There's violence every day. They just say like you'd be stepping.
They're
over
going
the
to find
bodies.
body parts like 6 months down the line that they just missed because there's so much. They're going to find a spleen somewhere.
Yeah.
Because from Luis Guzman's spleen,
It was bad.
Johnny
I mean,
Glade's ponytail is just like chilling.
were you upset that there was no ending? Because I didn't care.
No, because at the time I was done. It's like let's get in and out. You know, this movie needs to be 90 minutes, 100 minutes. Let's get in, get out. Right?
It ended pretty much
Yeah.
perfectly.
Yeah, man. I
I don't know, man.
And much like the movie, let's abruptly end this podcast. But before we do,
We got some. We'll let the credits roll. No,
Yeah.
we got some questions wrote in, so we put out on Twitter. We got a couple emails and stuff. People wrote in about their thoughts. Like, I think this is one of those movies that people kind of forgot that they saw, but they liked
Yeah.
it anyway.
Oh, yeah. Sure, it's definitely worth a rewatch. We watched it on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Yeah, it's out
right?
streaming for free, as I mentioned on Twitter. So if you haven't seen it, you like this podcast, we didn't spoil anything. It's the movie's the movie. Just watch it. It's
Yeah, man,
fun.
just watch
It's
it.
actually a fun movie.
Of course it is. So listener question number 1 from Mark. I know you guys, not Anthony. Mark Anthony?
I don't know. Tell me because I need to know.
I know
'Cause
you
I need to
guys.
know.
I know you guys love Seagal. How would this have worked with him at the helm instead of Behringer?
Yeah, see, we are Seagal fans here.
That question's right up our alley. This guy knows us.
What do you think?
No,
It wouldn't?
because he takes himself too seriously and he whispers too much. Wouldn't be able to hear him. And also,
Need to project as a
Yeah.
teacher.
he wouldn't have allowed himself to take the hits that Behringer took.
Yes.
Behringer made himself a little vulnerable, which I liked.
He almost died.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Jerome.
And he doesn't have the comedy chops. As when Seagal delivers his one-liners, they're very cheesy.
He smirks.
Yeah, they're very cheesy, but like they're effective in his own way. But these lines, he would not have been able to pull.
He
off.
could have said the library line, the quiet in the library one.
Yeah,
that's
that's a Seagal line.
definitely a Seagal
Yeah.
line. But I think, can you have a substitute teacher with a ponytail?
No,
It was 1996 Miami, so maybe.
Johnny Glades had the ponytail. You can't have two ponytails.
There's
And
only
also
room-
the mercenary, the other mercenary guy,
yeah,
had a
he
ponytail.
did.
You can't have three ponytails.
There's only room
He
for,
would have demanded those guys cut their ponytails.
Yeah,
if
there's
he was in that
only room
movie.
for at least one.
But on the plus side, if Seagal was in this movie, he would have made that love scene work.
Oh,
He would have made with the cast. He would have made it work.
he would have been caught with the director.
Yeah.
You would have seen how it worked.
I just need a little bit of leverage.
You would have seen how it
I
worked
just-
in that case. And Kelly LeBrock, he would have made Kelly LeBrock watch it too.
Let's do it again. Let's do it.
Kelly
Take.
LeBrock would have been the
Yeah.
teacher.
Oh yeah.
But no, so if Seagal didn't do it, who else could from this era? Could
Well,
Stallone have done it? Could Schwarzenegger have done
Schwarzenegger
it?
halfway did it with Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah.
Right. But
But that was kids.
yeah.
I mean, these are kids too, but it was like these are like grown men compared
It's just
to.
you said it earlier. Behringer looks like a teacher, and
He
I feel
does.
like those other guys are either too muscular or too ponytaily,
Yeah,
or Van Damme. It's like he's not going to be teaching. He wasn't in Vietnam. You can
Yeah.
tell Van Damme was not in Vietnam teaching history. Right.
I'm going to kick that son of a
That
bitch.
son of a
bison's
beach bison's ass.
so hard.
He tried to play an American soldier one time, and it didn't go well.
I love him too. I love him too, and everybody knows that. Like he's I got a soft spot for him too. But I think Behringer is the only one that could
Yeah.
pull this off.
All right, we got to get out of here because we were talking too much about regular shit at the beginning of this. So let's keep it going. Number 2, this is from BG. He writes, "I was always curious about this movie. At what point did Role know that Shale was more than just a substitute? I love that he capitalized substitute.
Substitute. Is it a proper noun?
Yeah. And when did Shale pick up on Role being dirty?
I see. We kind of talked about this
We
a little
covered
bit
this a little
earlier.
bit. Yeah. They played a good cat and mouse game for a while, but I think Behringer kind of, because Behringer, this is what he does, right?
Yeah,
He kind of knew immediately. As soon as he met him in the office, he knew that there was something slimy about him.
yeah.
Right.
I thought Rollet knew right away too because he was curious as to why this guy's here and not the other guy.
He was poking around. He showed up unexpected. His file was weird. And then I think the moment he found out was the very first time he substituted. Probably his next conversation with Mark Anthony, where Juan Lacus basically said, this guy, he's not a normal teacher. He's standing up for himself. Very tough.
Yeah,
He's talking about being a soldier. Something not right about this
Vietnam.
guy. Yeah.
he's unhinged.
Yeah. Little unhinged.
Yeah, I think he knew pretty early on
Yeah.
too. But I like the cat and mouse game.
Yeah,
As we mentioned.
I like that they both knew, but they knew that each other knew, but they were playing that game, especially that first drug bust where they steal the money and they buy like tubas and sports equipment and VCRs for the classrooms and all that.
Yeah.
And Behringer's just Shale's throwing it in his face, and it's like the kind
that
of
was
thing where
awesome.
it's that kind of like you son of a bitch smirk, you know what I mean?
Well, after he thought he killed him, and it was actually the other teacher that died because
Yeah.
they put the announcement out. Oh, we got him.
Yeah,
And he
right.
shows up at the school, and they're like, "I thought you got him."
Yeah, you get
That
shot with
was
a
pretty-
bulletproof vest. Yeah,
Pretty awesome.
so it's the
right
kind of
there.
thing where like they both knew that each other knows, but they didn't want to play their cards yet, kind of thing.
I thought Ernie Hudson was great in this.
Yeah, you're right. He was great.
He was awesome.
He was great.
So
And finally, we got a Facebook message here from Ash. He or she writes, My favorite part of this entire movie is when the competing Merc comes in and shows his demo reel to the guy who shat his pants. Shat his pants.
I think Merc is first off. Merc is a very underrated
Merc?
word. You're a
Mark
Merc.
Anthony says.
Merc is a very underrated word,
So
and
it's not a question; it's more of a statement.
that
so.
is a very true statement. The demo reel itself was awesome.
Could you see yourself like making a demo reel for yourself, like you're in IT or whatever? It's like
Yeah,
could you,
and it was funny because he had like a rating. He had
Yeah.
it looked like those monster ballads, like
Yeah.
the scrolling
the
marquee.
scrolling down. Oh, I do smoke jumps. I do
Guns.
snipers, guns,
Razor
fists,
wires.
fist fights.
The
razor
guy was so
wires.
proud of himself, and he had like the
Yeah.
Miami drug dealer suit too. It was
Yeah.
like the white suit, all in white. But yeah, no, I thought that was
So,
an
what do you
awesome
think?
touch.
in that video reel, was it like were they live shots of him in action, or was it like staged?
I think it was
was it him really jumping all guys in the shit, or was it like
it was
all-
like Unsolved Mysteries. This is a reenactment.
Yeah, it's a
with, You know,
reenactment,
that
yeah.
the creepy guy in the trench coat. That's how it was.
Yeah.
So
I thought there should have been a better fight, like between him and Behringer at the school, but it just never came to be.
if there's anything that I could say with this movie, and maybe this is a segue into us giving our rating, since we're going to start doing that now. The only thing that I have to say about this, I'm going to give it a little bit of a pass because it's 1996, is that there was kind of too many final bosses. There wasn't, but no one really took charge.
No, you're right.
So, you know, Johnny Glades wasn't enough of a final boss. Like he really wasn't. And Ernie Hudson kind of like, you know, he wasn't really a final boss of enough, you know, it's just, it didn't. But I mean, this is a tough movie. It's tough to give a movie like this a rating because you go back to 96. It's a movie of its time, but I'd have to give it probably a 7 out of 10 because I think if I'm going on the 10-point scale, and then I'm maybe going to add half a point because I thought that Tom Berenger was such a believable substitute.
Yeah.
And also Ernie Hudson was great. But then maybe I'm going to take a half a point
Take
away.
half point away.
Because of Johnny Glades kind of like getting he got way too easily, I feel, for this like drug lord, you know, that's owning all of this distribution.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, I'll go back to 7. I'll go back to 7.
Well, again, this goes back to me. Like, I had HBO in my household at a very young age, 13, 14 years old. Like, this movie would be on like 5 times a day, and I would watch it. I loved it. And now I watch it now, and it's just as good. So I'm giving it like a baseline of like a 7.2.
Yeah.
But I'm adding points because there's so many great names in this movie, like Johnny Glades, like Joey Six,
Juan Lacus.
Juan Lacus is like on the pantheon of names.
Do you know how you spell Juan Lacus, by the way?
Lacas.
Yeah. See, I always thought it was Loquus.
Locus.
Locus.
Yeah. So the names bump it all the way up. I'm giving it this 7.9. Gonna bump it up a little more for Johnny Glades' ponytail.
Yeah,
bump it down a little bit for Johnny Glades' acting. Bump it up 5 more, half a points, just because of when the teacher climbed up the rope is like one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever.
That guy. So they should have lit the rope on fire. That's what they really should have done.
And a half a point higher because Mark Anthony, who honestly
he was pretty
did
good.
a great job.
Yeah.
Like I could. What's his like equal today? Is it like Bruno Mars as far as like his level of being like a superstar at that time when I Need to Know came out?
I don't know who he
like
is.
imagine, but like I'm talking about his body type too. Like he's a slight, skinny guy.
No, maybe he's like, if you think about like the Fast series, maybe he's like Ludacris.
Yeah, maybe Ludacris.
Like I know it's not Spanish music, but maybe you go Ludacris or Tyrese.
Yeah,
like he's a good enough actor. I mean, Tyrese is more comedic.
Yeah,
and Ludacris is probably more comedic too. But like,
this came out of nowhere. Like I feel like
was he in anything else?
No, like I feel like no, like.
Like, how did he land this role?
He had a couple small roles. Like, he was in Bringing Out the Dead with Nick Cage.
Okay.
It's a Scorsese movie about the ambulance driver. And he played like a heroin, like a junkie who was like constantly, it was almost like a comedic relief type of thing.
Well, he looked like a junkie.
And he was really freaking good at that too. Like,
he's a good actor.
Yeah. So
I
don't
give
know,
it up to him, man.
I'm going to end up with like an 8.6.
Man, okay, that's pretty
high.
good.
It's high on my action movies because they don't make them like they used to.
I definitely don't disagree with you. And like, I guess when I went to 7, like I said, it's hard to baseline
personal bias.
But I did love this movie, and it was just as fun as I remember watching it before. And I would watch it again, like anytime soon, because it was.
Let's watch it right now.
It's very watchable.
It's like 1 a.m. right now.
4 a.m.
1 a.m. on a Monday. Let's watch it.
But yeah, it was a great movie. So I loved it. So you go. What did you say? 8.6.
8 point whatever the hell.
I'm saying 7. Whatever.
8 point.
It's
6 point.
It's up there.
10.6.
It's up there with our movies. So
11D.
Before we get out of here, we did get an iTunes review. I just want to give a shout out to, I think the name is B_Loney's, B_Loney's.
Belodies?
On Apple Podcasts, as it's been rebranded. B. Loney says, right up my alley. I started listening to this podcast about 2 weeks ago, and I've already gone through every episode. The guys love stupid action movies and sports movies just as much as I do. Hope they're around for a long time to come. Thank you, B. Loney's. Thank you for the rating that someone else left us on Facebook. You can now rate us on Facebook.
Oh, thank you.
There's a couple star reviews. Maybe you recognize some of them. But leave us a 5-star review on Facebook, too, because you can rate the show and other people will be able to find it out. But otherwise, you can leave one on Apple Podcasts. We're 5 away from the JCVD split, man.
Yeah, if you're listening and you haven't yet, please give us a review. It really
does help
us
the
out.
show.
Yeah, give us a boost. Let us know how you're feeling the show.
Otherwise, you can find us on our website, thelastrowpodcast.com. If you want to look at our back catalog, go check out all of our old episodes. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, anywhere you catch your podcasts.
Anywhere podcasts are sold.
Anywhere you catch them, pull them down, Overcast, Downcast. Twitter at The Last Row Pod, Facebook.com/The Last Row Pod. We also have an Instagram page, Snapchat, whatever. Any way you're looking for us, find us out there. Leave us a review and we'll read it on the show. Send us an email, thelastrowpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Not next Thursday, but the Thursday after that. We'll post the next movie on our Twitter and Facebook page, so keep an eye out for that. And hopefully you can watch along and enjoy the next episode. So we'll see you guys next time.
They stopped listening, Drew.
Yeah. I don't know.
So when you climb up the rope, maybe he was thinking he could get to the rafters.
There was a ceiling fan.
Yeah. So like maybe they could shoot him, but like maybe they miss. Like I guess they try. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it was just desperate.
I think he'd be better just running around like doing laps
circles.
around the gym, and maybe they all would do the same direction. Like they get done there. Or something.
I thought you were going to talk